Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday Morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from theuptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, stock index futures are currently below fair value. We don't have any major economic numbers coming out this morning until 10 a.m., and then we get new home sales. Probably the big story this week is going to be NVIDIA's earnings later in the week. Now, Friday was a huge update for the market, and sometimes everyone gets it wrong. If you watched yesterday's weekly video, some of these charts are going to be from yesterday's video. So I'm just going to repeat myself, which is important. Coming into the Fed chairman's speech on Friday, the market was fairly negative. The TSX had treaded water all last week and was up at all-time highs. There's no change for the Canadian market. The U.S. market, on the other hand, we had the VIX for the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Russell 2000 all back on buy signals. That is negative for stocks. We had tech stocks on sell signals last week, semiconductors on sell signals. We had Bitcoin making a new low on Thursday. We had gold treading water last week. We had the U.S. dollar index moving up and ended Thursday on a buy signal. So that's the way that the market was positioning itself. And we had traders selling off tech stocks. We had people buying the U.S. dollar, selling Bitcoin. We had options traders moving up the options premiums ahead of what they thought was going to be a big down move. And then on Friday, we got the reversal. Huge move down in the U.S. dollar index, back on a sell signal. Huge move up for the price of gold, back on a buy signal. Then we had Bitcoin up sharply on Friday. We had the NASDAQ. We had semiconductors moving up to the upper channel line, not generating buy signals, but certainly a big recovery from the intra-week losses. And then we had the VIX rollover. So options traders gave up on Friday, and we are back on a sell signal, which is supportive for higher stock prices. Now, at the same time that we had a buy signal in the VIX indices last week, we did not have buy signals in the ETF. So being short those particular ETFs is still a winning trade. Now, on Friday, we had a huge move up in the TSX, making a new all-time high. The transports were the big winners. Then we had home builders. We had the regional banks. Bank stocks were up. We had the micro caps, the small caps, the mid caps, all shooting higher on Friday. And then we had the Dow. The Dow was up huge on Friday, up nearly 2% on the day. So a new all-time high for the Dow. Now, looking at the VIX coming into Monday's trading action, we're going to remain short-term bullish on the market as long as the VIX does not close above 1643 on Monday. Now, again, I'm not going to be jumping into anything on Monday. I'm going to sit on my hands. Now, the VIX is coming down to the 1250 level. If you don't follow the VIX on a regular basis, you might not realize that the VIX coming down to 1250 is usually the bottom for the VIX, or it has been for the last few years. And so we may get a separation here where the stock market could continue to move higher while the VIX doesn't go anywhere. So as long as the VIX doesn't get back on a buy signal right now, the market should be bullish, and we'll just have to wait and see how that works out this week. Moving on, let's take a look at the TSX Most Actives from last week. Now, starting off with Canadian Natural Resources, we generated a buy signal as of Thursday's close. You came in on Friday, bought it at the open, closed at the high of the day. Then we've got a new high for Barrick on Friday. We've got Cenovus making a new high on Friday. Then we've got Manulife coming back on a buy signal on Friday. So in this situation, I would wait and see what happens on Monday before taking a new position in Manulife. Then we've got Encana pulling back. It almost got to 67.19, got as high as 67.03 before pulling back, and that gave us a bearish reversal day for that stock, and it did close below the previous day's low. Then looking at Whitecap, we are back on a buy signal as of Friday's close. Again, I would sit and wait and see if we get another close above the upper channel line. And then Baytech, a similar situation. I would wait and see what happens on Monday. Then Suncor, second day of a buy signal there. Then looking at the Royal Bank, new high for the Royal Bank. And where is it going? May get to 193.75. That is our next mathematical target for the Royal Bank. TC Energy was down slightly on the day, still trading above the upper channel line. A new high for this move for Pembina. We got pretty close to 53.13, got as high as 53.10. That's a bearish reversal day, but it did not close below the previous day's low, so not overly concerned there. And then there's a new high for the Bank of Nova Scotia on Friday, and we are heading towards 81.25. Let's finish this morning's presentation looking at the U.S. most actives. Starting off with Open Door, a new high for that stock on Friday. We're trying to get to 547. If we can take that out, then 625 would be our next target. There's a new high for NEO on Friday. We ended just above the 625 level. 664 and 703 are the next targets to the upside. We got as high as 658 on Friday before pulling back. So there's our next two targets to the upside. No joy for NVIDIA, looking for a close above $180.83 on Monday to give us a buy signal for NVIDIA. And NVIDIA, we were trying to get to 187.50 for the last month and have not been able to do so. Then looking at Intel moved up on Friday at $25, major area of resistance. We were able to trade through it a couple of times over the last week. And you can see we traded all the way up to the 26.56 level. So that is certainly doable again this week. Looking at Palantir, no change in trend there, trying to hold the 150 level. If we start closing below that, then 125 comes into play for Palantir. Then there's American Airlines making a new high for this move, looking for a move up to 1406 and then 1484. Then we're looking at moved up on Friday. 1406, still a major area of resistance. And we'll look to see if we can take that out this week. Then we've got Tesla back on a buy signal as of Friday's close. This is one of those stocks that I would sit on my hands and wait to see what happens on Monday. There's SoFi moving up on Friday. Stuck at the $25 level, got as high as 25.25 on Friday, closed at 25.02. Next target to the upside is 28.13. Then we've got TeraWulf pulling back on Friday. No change in trend there. Closing down just 3 cents on the day. Then we've got Ford moving up. Ford's stuck at the 1172 level. You can see that just above that back in early July, we had a week or so of trading above that level, but we couldn't break away from it. And so now we're looking for a move up to 1250 if we can take out the July highs. And then last up, Walmart. Walmart came down to the 96.88 level. If we continue lower from here, then you can see our next mathematical target is 93.75. And we hit that back in June, but in July, we actually made a higher low, which was a positive sign for Walmart. And so that could act as potentially the next target to the downside if we start closing below the 96.88 level. Well, I just realized I cut myself off abruptly there. I apologize for that. Again, we did generate some buy signals from Friday's trading action. I'm going to sit on my hands and not do anything on Monday. So far, stock index futures are down slightly this morning. Gold is down. Bitcoin is down. Crude oil is up slightly on Monday morning, but certainly we're not getting any continuation of the over enthusiasm that we had on Friday, which I think was mostly short-term traders covering their short positions as opposed to new money coming into the market. Have a great day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Tuesday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.